Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the NECA Evil Dead 2 Farewell to Arms Ash figure. This is the second figure of the first wave of Evil Dead 2 figures. This is the one that there seemed to be more of in a case, so he's the easier one of the two to come across. And it's more of a normal Ash than the one we had previously. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at him. For accessories, Ash comes with an axe. It's covered in green deadite blood, which I think is kind of cool. I feel like the blood should be a little brighter. It's a little muted on the axe itself, unless you get a good light on it. But it is still a cool looking axe. I like that it has the green blood and they didn't mess that up or give us a clean one. The accessories with this Ash, I'm going to say right off the bat, are a little strange because he doesn't use this until pretty close to the end of the movie, well after he's already gotten the chainsaw and all that, if I remember correctly. So it's a little odd that he has this, but seeing as the next Ash we get in Wave 2 is going to have the chainsaw arm, I guess they didn't want to give us a loose chainsaw, which would probably be the most appropriate accessory to give with this figure. He also comes with his trusty shotgun. It's a pretty good sculpt on the gun. It looks pretty nice. There's some good wood grain texture going on in the stock. Double barrel. If you want the stats for the gun, just watch Army of Darkness. It tells you all the S-Mart price values and all that crap. But it is a nice sculpt. For comparison, I'm going to bring in the one from the Medieval Ash figure that NECA previously released. And you can see the paint job is a lot different. The Medieval Ash was much brighter and more almost cartoony looking. This one's nice and dark. I do like that they actually have the sawed-off length on this gun, or on the old gun. You can see this one is a longer barrel to it. My big gripe about this gun is something similar that I had to a gripe with the Battle Damage Tech Noir Terminator. And that is, he doesn't hold it particularly well. I've got his hand here, and his hand doesn't really have a trigger finger. It has an extended finger there, but there's no real gap in it. And you can even see the trigger guard on mine. It's a little broken from trying to get the hand on there. But you have to kind of slide it on in an awkward way, and I've never been able to get it on his hand without popping the hand off. And I don't feel like that's the most natural pose you'd have holding the gun. By comparison, the Medieval Ash has a more extended trigger finger and basically a more specialized hand sculpt, and I feel like he holds it in a much more natural way than this Ash does. Ash also comes with his severed evil hand, which is pretty nice. It's got the bite mark on it, a little stab mark on the palm. It's got the long, nasty nails. It's all weathered up and gross. You can see the bones down there inside the wrist. Really cool little accessory. I'm glad they included it. As I mentioned with the Deadite Ash, this Ash is basically the same body as the other one. It looks like they're just recycling the same body over and over and getting as much use out of it as they can. I do really like the head sculpt. While I thought the Deadite Ash looked a little Elvis-y, this definitely has more of a classic Ash look to it. The hair is slicked back, but it's still kind of in somewhat of a style like he would have had it. I love that the blood is really nice and glossy on his head. Once again, he has an open mouth, but a very unique, worried expression, which you don't get on a lot of action figures, especially Ash. I'm kind of used to him being more cool and confident looking, and kind of a neat moment captured in the sculpt. I like that they have all the scratches and cuts and all that stuff all over his head. One thing I don't like about the paint job on the head, and I noticed this was across the board with all the figures, is they really outlined his eye in black. It's a pretty heavy black, and it actually makes him look a little cartoony to me, which isn't the best thing. At least with this figure, unlike the Deadite Ash, the neck matches the head, so it's not a very jarring look between the head and the body, which is good. He has his rubberized shirt with all the details. Same weathering and paint job really as the Deadite Ash as well. Just kind of the dark, I don't know if it's supposed to be mud or sweat or what all over it. And his sleeves are sculpted. Good job on those. His left hand here is a normal human hand, same as we got in the Deadite Ash, just a sculpted hand. And over here on the right we have the infected hand. So pretty much the same as the accessory we had that is a separate piece, but this one actually is pegged into his hand and has the articulation of the figure. Now, of course, we could take this hand and remove it at the elbow, and then we can plug in his other arm. And this truly is the Farewell to Arms version. It's the stump wrapped up in a cloth. It surprised me that this was a separate forearm rather than a hand, but there is no articulation at the wrist here. I thought it would just be a hand you plucked off and popped this on instead of the other hand, but I was very surprised to see a full arm. I like it because I'm less likely to lose a full forearm than I would be to lose a hand. Down to the pants. I love the detail they put on the belt buckle. The belt is actually kind of a shiny to make it look leathery. He has the belt loops and all the stitching on his pants. Really impressed with the amount of detail NECA's put into these figures. Once again, I don't like how the articulation breaks up the sculpt in the pants. Coming down the legs, he's got his tattered pant leg over here. I really do love that you can see the sock in there. It's a great touch. Then he has his boots. For articulation, he has a ball-jointed head. He has a ball-jointed mid-torso. The joint's about here, so not a traditional waist swivel, but you still get all the basic movements you would get. Pin socket shoulders, great range of motion. You can bend and swivel at the elbow. The hand is ball jointed. Both hands are ball jointed. Obviously this one has none, but the other hand has a ball joint in it. But this wrist, it always seems like the hand falls out, and it makes it really hard to get that shotgun in there and get it posed. Now, I've had figures in the past where the ball in here actually kind of gets pushed back in further than it should go, and it needs to be fixed. I don't know if that's the case with this one. I'm going to have to mess with it, but this hand does have a bad habit of falling off. He has V swivel at his crotch. You can rotate the upper leg, bend and swivel at the knee, and a ball-jointed foot. Overall, I do really like this figure. It's a little disappointing how much of the same figure it is to the Deadite Ash. The Deadite Ash, if it wasn't for the accessories, it would almost feel like more of a variant than it would be an actual figure. And truth be told, I think a lot of companies probably would have released it in that manner. Not as a separate piece, but as an additional variant to the one figure. Now, I probably would have picked up both either way, regardless of how it went, as long as I can get my hands on them. But I feel like this really is the stronger of the two. And maybe just because I like the concept more. I like having more of a traditional Ash. It's also pretty cool to have an Ash that isn't all chainsawed out. I love the iconic look of Ash with his chainsaw hand, but this is a nice change of pace. This is a cool looking figure, and I know I'm going to have him pose like this 90% of the time with the shotgun and the bloody stump, and probably just put that hand right up there on his shoulder like it is now, because I really like that pose. So I'm definitely going to recommend this guy, especially if you only have the chance to get one of the two. I think this is by far the better one. Now, this is the end of Wave 1 of the Evil Dead 2 figures. There is a Wave 2 coming up. It will include a Hero Ash, which is Ash with the chainsaw and the sawed-off shotgun, which I am very much looking forward to getting my hands on. As well as the Henrietta Deadite, which is another one that I think would be so cool to have, because I always need more monsters in a set. I also know that they're releasing a variant on that Hero Ash. I believe it's going to be their Comic-Con exclusive this year, and he has the grayed temples, basically looking like he did at the end of the movie when he goes back through time. Which also leads me to believe that we'll probably be seeing the second wave of these figures in stores around the same time as Comic-Con. So what's that, about July-ish? That's just speculation, but that's going to be my guess, that they wouldn't release the exclusive without having the normal one out in the market. It's normally how it seems to go with them. I just think of last year where we got the Gort Predator, and then they had the Masked Classic Predator come out in the main line at about the same time. So I'm going to take a wild guess and say that's what we're getting. I think at this point they have yet to confirm an actual date on Wave 2. And I'm definitely all in on Wave 2. And I'm curious if this is going to be the end of the line for them. I would love to see a third wave. For sure, I'd love to see the Deadite Ed. I think that is a really cool design. It'd be awesome to get in figure form. I really don't know what we could get for an Ash in that line. It would almost be cool if they just made it like the Terminator line and didn't stick to one movie in the line specifically, and maybe we can get a original Evil Dead figure, or perhaps we could get an Army of Darkness Ash. We already have 2 from NECA from them, but I'd like to see them kind of redo the one that McFarlane did with the chainsaw arm and all that stuff. Even though it's pretty similar to the Hero Ash, but it'd still be cool to get a Army of Darkness specific one from NECA. This has been another Outside the Box review, and stay tuned for more to come.